Thanks, Austin, for doing this demo today. We understand you're a Matrix enthusiast. You're not speaking on behalf of Matrix or anything like that, but you're just, very knowledgeable about Matrix, and there is a conversation going on in the DAO. Um, and yeah, we appreciate you kind of condensing some of the knowledge that you have about Matrix, and thanks for sharing with us today.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity, and thanks very much to everybody that's taken time out of their day to drop in for the demo, and I'm happy to be here. I'll start by sharing my screen. Okie doke. So, um, my name is Austin. I've been with the DAO approaching a year now, primarily with the Writers Guild, although I've been kind of floating around in the periphery of the Developers Guild for a while. I do have somewhat of a background with self-hosting different software solutions like WordPress, Minecraft server, things like that. With regard to Matrix, it's a decentralized chat room-like service, kind of very analogous to Discord. And they don't advertise themselves with a lot of the familiar buzzwords we're very much used to: Web3, blockchain. All of that they don't use in their marketing or advertising, but they are a distributed service. Federated service is the common term. And what that means is um, they offer a protocol standard that anybody can build their own servers around, clients, front-end apps. So it's a very open ecosystem. They do host their own community servers for people to try out, but they do encourage the community to host their own solutions in a more production environment, and once the community start building up any significant audience. So I was going to do up a graphic, but the one right on their homepage, it just demonstrates the federated structure in a very clean, clear way. So you would have at alice.com, bob.com, charlie.com. Those would be three individual Matrix servers. And then the user at Bob existing on the Bob server. Oh, I don't know what I did to the graphic there. But you can kind of get the idea where this user on this server would be able to talk to this user on this server. And I'll be able to demonstrate that in the app in just a moment, but that graphic is the simplest way to visualize it. And then I'm skipping over a lot of this because I'll talk about it briefly further on, but I just wanted to get to the bottom where they do thank their sponsors here. And even though they're not officially part of any blockchain or any of the organizations we're generally familiar with, they do have sponsorship from things like Omisigo. I'm not familiar with this project, Status, a mobile operating system, but 4 out of these 6 are blockchain organizations that are involved with them and their development of the software. So that's just a very brief rundown of how the software kind of generally works. And then if anybody is interested, they do have a very thorough rundown of their whole organization, values, mission alignment, all that fun stuff. And then just before moving on further, I did want to say that while I'm pitching this in the hopes that maybe it could one day be adopted by Bankless DAO as an alternative and maybe a transition away from Discord, I'm not pitching this as a solution that can do that today, or maybe even not even in a couple months. It's something that could be transitioned into over time. What we've built out in Discord with all of our bot infrastructure, it would be very hard to replace right out of the gate. But there's some things about Matrix that would make that an easy transition. But I did just want to mention a few possible competitors that do offer similar things. I came across this project called Fosscord while I was doing some research for this demo, and they're a open source Discord alternative, just Discord kind of plug-in or a drop-in plug-and-play solution. I did install it briefly, didn't play around with it too much, and they seem like they're pretty early on in development. And this would be just a straight up Discord replacement. If you didn't want anything changed, it's attempting to be a straight up clone for people that wanted to host their own Discord. Mastodon is another service, another federated service, similar to Matrix's federation structure, but whereas Matrix is analogous to Discord and chat room type services, Mastodon is more like a Twitter or a Facebook federated type service where you have like mini blogs, micro posting, but the same type of user structure and the ability to communicate cross servers. And then this one's been on my radar since I started planning for this demo and was one of the early options that do advertise themselves as a Web3 native solution. I'm seeing them come up more and more on crypto Twitter, so they're a project to keep an eye on as well. So these are just three of kind of similar competitors that would offer analogous type functionality. What Matrix offers as a very unique, and what the reason I'm pursuing it is just how open the platform and protocol is. So when people start trying Matrix, a few things start to pop up that make understanding it a little tricky, because it's not just an application or a software as a service company. So you'll have the home server, which if we go back to this diagram, the home server are these larger bubbles. And then you would have the client that the user communicates with their home server. And the primary client that we'll be talking about is this one called Element. But there are others. There's a WeChat matrix for command line. I just yesterday tried this one called Fractal. And this is the thing about it being an open platform, is you don't just have the Discord user interface for Discord. Anybody can build a front-end user interface for Matrix. In this state of development, because the Matrix Foundation is adding new features as they go, they've been in development at least since 2018 and have been ongoing very regularly since then, adding new things, and a couple of those we'll get into as beta features. So Element is the one that they develop and is the most up-to-date and feature-rich, which with all of the latest things that they're working on. Android and iOS versions for Element. And then if you wanted to go a little deeper into their ecosystem, it's so broad, like they've got all kinds of different clients to explore. Servers, this is what I was going to go for. So the one that I've installed, so the home not only do you have a choice of clients to pick from, but the home servers themselves have a bunch of different options. The one that I've been testing and the one that is developed by Matrix is called Synapse. They are moving to this one, Dendrite, in the future. And it has a bunch of efficiencies or efficiency improvements built into it. It's written in Go instead of Python, and it's supposed to scale much more efficiently with larger communities. Synapse was just their first, let's get everything working. And then there are other options developed by other organizations. And then the last thing, and then this is the big one, why I've chosen to explore Matrix as a possible solution for the DAO. Not that Discord has any real problems. Like what infrastructure we have, it has been working very well. The bot community and ecosystem is very well developed already from our Seshbot, Collab Land, the Mad Hatter team. So there's a lot of infrastructure in Discord that's hard to replace all at once when looking at Mastodon, Foss. Well, I guess Fosscore being a Discord replacement, I didn't test any bot infrastructure, could hypothetically just work out of the box with things like Mad Hatter. Console, though, Mastodon, all independent silos. And so when trying to consider different alternatives to Discord, abandoning what we already have is a big obstacle or hurdle to overcome. So Matrix offers this thing called Bridges, or a functionality for their service called Bridges. So you can see all of the logos here. I don't recognize some of them, but you have Slack, Discord, LinkedIn, Skype, Signal. Oh, go ahead. Oh, darn. Okay. Thanks for letting me know. I'll when I change tabs, I'll have to I'll do something to make sure that it changes properly. My bad. Thanks for letting me know. So this is the other screens there. So this one is console. It's just on a wait list right now, but this was the one that I'm hearing some hype over on crypto Twitter about. Mastodon here, and then Foscord is there. Not super important. These were just the splash screens. I was just using their home pages as part of the presentation. But this is the important one, the bridges screen for now. So yes, you've got Twitter, Telegram, Mastodon as well, LinkedIn, Slack, and then the important one, Discord. So rather than trying to sell an entirely new siloed community to the DAO and trying to get everybody to shift all over at once, that's not something I want to do and would feel good about trying to sell to the DAO in any way. It would just create too much of a fractured structure. I remember hearing some misgivings about even setting up a separate Discord server for Bankless Brazil and the different communities like that. Would we start creating a separation? Keybase. I'm not familiar with that, Ernest. What's Keybase? Okay. Okay. Yeah, and mhm. And I don't even think that these are all of the bridges. It being an open platform, you could write a bridge for any other software as long as that other service has some sort of API to integrate with. So the possibilities are quite open on this, and why it's quite an intriguing platform to me. So I think that's it for... Yes. So that's it for the main features and the high level overview. There is just one other like small feature that's in a beta stage. They say here this should be used with caution. What it is it'll let you migrate your existing Matrix account. So even within the home server ecosystem, you still need to have an admin, a virtual private server in the cloud, some type of infrastructure to set up that's run by some developers. It's not something that just exists on the blockchain where you can shut down and come back and everything's still there. So let's say hypothetically we did implement this within Bankless DAO. There is a service like this in the works, and I do expect that Matrix is planning on having this as a not even a hypothetical. I'm pretty sure this is like a core function that they do want to build into the protocol, and that's the ability to move your account from one home server to another. So that would be analogous to, say, moving your entire Gmail to, I don't know, Proton Mail, and without having to manually move those emails or forward them. It would just be like move your data over to another home server. So it's not like you have ownership of your data on your phone at any point. There's still the problem of, okay, if you're offline and somebody sends you a DM, where does that message land? And so that's what the function of the home server is just that kind of meeting point, but you still have the freedom to move that around in the future if you need to. So with that, I will want to get into the actual app and show you guys around. When interacting with Matrix, I know even just downloading a new app onto your computer or your phone is something of a UX hurdle to some people. So they do offer a launch element in the web browser. You get all of the mobile options, iOS, Android, Mac, Windows, Linux, all of that. And okay, I'll see if this... Yeah, that does switch. Okay, good. That didn't freeze. So this is the... I'll just maximize that first. Okay, is that maximized? That's maximized, good. So this is the element homepage. Now, by default, it just wants to sign into the matrix.org home server here. The way that you would change that is click edit and then enter the domain of wherever the home server is that you want. Or in this case, I've set up a self-hosted instance of Element so that even if the Matrix web service for the Element app goes down, we would still be able to maintain our own. The Element app is also open source, so all of this is an open ecosystem. And with that, I've also set it so that the one that I've hosted can only log into the home server that I've set up. I've made it so that can't be changed, and that's to prevent people from using my hosted app to log into their home server. It's a small thing, and but when you do self-host, you can customize things in depth, or much more in depth. By default, it uses like the username, password, email, phone number thing, and those are still there, although I've not set them up with my server. I didn't want to do any email verification or depend on any other external services. So when you do an email verification process, you need to have access to something called an SMTP server. I'm sure that we could do that if we wanted to expand the amount of login options available. For now, I've disabled the create account option, so people could just kind of spam any random username and password. And this is one of the first concerns that came up when I was bringing up this idea: is like, how do you limit spam? In our Discord server for Bankless DAO, you generally need two-factor authentication enabled on your account to get full access to everything, so that way if you get hacked, your account can't be abused to kind of send phishing links or anything like that. So what I've done in this instance, Matrix is very flexible. You can add sign in with Gmail, sign in with Facebook, sign in with Apple ID. They have all of those options available and more. That's all handled with OAuth 2.0 and another protocol called OpenID Connect. And it's that last one, the OpenID Connect, that let me build in this. I'll see if I can. Oh, good. I hope that wasn't too small for you guys. But I've just zoomed it in. Is this continue with sign in with Ethereum option? And I forgot to mention, if anybody wants to start following along at this point of the demo, for the past week I've had this server running in the background for some time. But I had logins disabled for security reasons, but I've re-enabled it just for this demo for now. So I'll post this link over in our chat screen so that if anybody wants to, they can. Not required.
We seem to have lost Austin. I'm just going to message him right now.
Actually, I'm trying to understand the use case here. It's mainly for the community want to have their own server, right?
Okay, I'm sorry. I think I got rugged and had to bounce back. Am I in the clear again?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Okay. So something just went down on my end, but I think the link that I dropped in chat should still work for anybody else. I just had to change my screen setup for now. So when trying to log into the home server that I set up, all of those other options that were down there that are by default on the actual home server that the Matrix Foundation hosts themselves, so the Gmail option, Facebook, Apple ID, things like that, I had set up the sign in with Ethereum option. So when you click that, and if anybody is following along, it'll pop up a screen. Yep, there we go. Logging in. This is the default screen that the sign in with Ethereum team just has. The only option that works right now is MetaMask. I haven't set up the other ones, but sign in. I think this was a fresh wallet. Oh, no, it wasn't. So I've already registered this account, but it'll give you the option to, by default, it'll have the actual wallet address. So you'll unclick the default checkbox and then fill in a random name. I just did thing 1 for this account's name. And then boom, that's the sign in with Ethereum flow. I would do other things like get wallet connect working. The other options I would probably just delete unless there was enough demand to set those options up as well. But the first user, or the first thing you see when you sign in is you'll have this option. I'll see if I can make that a little larger. There we go. You'll have one space joined by default, and that's a setting that I've built in. Usually if it's a blank home server, there won't be anything here, and it's a little, if it's your first time using Matrix, it can be a little bit confusing about where to start. But for bankless DAO users, if we did implement something like this, I've kind of set up a skeleton to kind of show how this would look to bankless DAO members who join. So this is the same as just having the bankless DAO server in Discord. You open that up, and then it kind of has a map of all of the other rooms that I've set up. So you'll see things like in the welcome category in Discord, you'll see the learning opportunities, get involved, no stupid questions, just things like that. Then the most of the channel categories have a start here section with all of the information and links. So rather than have an individual room there, I've kind of copied and pasted some of that info over. So same with the, let's see, Analytics Guild. Yeah, so that's the same information as Analytics start here. No, wasn't. Yes, okay, so because Matrix, you know what, I'm going to sign out and sign into a different account. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and join the general category. And I've set up a few bridges, so join and join. Now this one is just the straight up DAO general chat channel. This one was bridged over maybe a week ago. So I was running it mainly as a uptime test, like would it stay active, would it record all of the messages? And these go just all the way back. And if I send a message from the Matrix end into Discord, I did it for DAO General and Watercooler chat. Watercooler was only bridged yesterday, so there's only a few messages. So from our end here, hello from Matrix, and then if you actually go over to the Watercooler chat, everybody should see. Yeah. Oh, hi Ernest. Okay, I saw your reply. There's no profile photo for my account that I created here. So on the Discord end, it just has the Discord logo. And then anybody communicating across from Matrix into Discord, the Matrix users show up as bots, each with their own name. Like they don't have the Matrix Bridge bot. Like they show up as the display name you pick. So in this case, I show up as Thing1 over in the Discord channel. But going the other way, from here, Matrix is a little more intelligent, and it just sees my Discord tag, including the 4-digit code on the end there. There's no bot thing there. So it on the Matrix into Discord path, it does look a little bit less clean because it introduces all of these bot stickers to the end of the name tag, but that way you know that which end of the bridge they're communicating from. On the Matrix side, when I click on the user profile, you can see that they're coming from the Discord side by this prefix. So that's really the basics of what the how the bridge works. I did do some testing to try and see. Yeah. Okay. So I guess that must be CryptoDad. Hi, CryptoDad. Thank you for joining through the bridge. So you can see that my typing status shows up. That comes through just fine. But when I do a reply, so this was one of the things that I realized didn't work. It's not exactly a straight one-for-one. Like the basic functionality of chatting over works, but there are things like the reply function. So on Discord, I replied to CryptoDad's message here by using the reply function. But in my reply from the Discord side, there was no like arrow that points back to the message. But if I did a if I @ myself, then I get tagged properly. So there are things like that. I also tested out threads. Unfortunately, Discord threads don't get bridged over. That's one of the other things that would get lost. And DMs. The three main things that I think are kind of annoying is the reply function doesn't get bridged over, the thread function doesn't get bridged over, and DMs don't work. I believe DMs are in the process of getting added to the bridge service, but that I don't want to make any promises. I don't even think that that's possible. The development team does want to implement it. And there is another Discord bridge bot, different from the one that I'm running, that does allow direct messaging. However, they have several, what's the word? I'm blanking on the word. Disclaimers. There we go. They have several disclaimers that the way that they do it is actually against Discord's terms of service. So there might not be a way to do that, bridging the DMs over, at least without getting banned from Discord and getting the bot banned. So anyway, that's really the basics, what works and what doesn't. With the way I've tried to lay everything out here, and unfortunately when my screen went down, I'm not sharing my screen anymore. I'm just kind of locked into the one window. Does anybody have any questions so far about what I've demoed? Is there any confusion about how this is working out? I'm just reading Ernest's statement there. So multiple organizations with their own discords could bridge into the same element space. Yep. Yeah. So if I created a new room in miscellaneous, and let's say if I wanted to, let's use DAOLationships since this is a DAOLationships demo. And this would be another benefit too, is the headroom, like the maximum allowed channels in our BDAO Discord. We've kind of come up against that upper limit a few times. We did a cleanup on that a number of months ago, and already I'm starting to see some messages come back about more of those channels getting added back in. So we wouldn't have any upper limit as to the amount of channels we could add in here. We could add in 100 guilds or 100 projects, and as long as we have enough RAM and CPU power on the server, we wouldn't have an upper bound on that. And even that, as if we only had 50 users and 1,000 projects, it would the amount of users sending the messages would be the problem there. But back to Ernest's comment about having multiple other organizations. Let's say if we had another DAO, I'm trying to think. None really comes to mind, but if we had a DAO come in and wanted to be an active partner with Bankless DAO, and if we had a dedicated room in Matrix here under the projects or the guilds for them, we could bridge one of those rooms to their Discord server instead of bridging it to our Discord. There's an immense amount of flexibility in the way the spaces and the rooms is set up. So you could have, like I have the one root space, Bankless DAO, and then you have the welcome space, miscellaneous. But within the guilds, I've got just kind of a dummy skeleton, analytics guild, and then the 2 rooms in there. But you can nest multiple spaces in here. And as far as I know, there's no limit as to the amount of layers you can create in that. And actually within that, I know I said that the Discord threads don't get bridged over, and they don't. But if you needed to, Matrix does have a reply in thread option. It is 100% worked out, but you can create threads in Matrix. They do have video rooms. That's also in beta, and it's another one of those features about the Discord bridge that I don't want to make any promises about. It's something that is on the developers' to-do list, is to enable VoIP or voice over IP bridging. So hypothetically, bridging this meeting that we're having right now in the Watercooler chat over to another video room in Matrix. They do have that on their list, but I don't think that that's going to happen anytime soon. So really, the main things is just the very simple single messages get bridged over one for one. And that's about it. The DMs, the reply function, that's either still in the works or won't be able to be implemented just due to limitations on Discord's API. So with all that said, are there any other questions aside from Ernest's there about functionality, limitations, concerns?
Hey, Austin. Sorry, I had something earlier. I misjoined the meeting late. Where are you with testing some of the restrictions around access control and whatnot from like a security perspective?
Thank you. I didn't actually, and you might not have been here for it, but it reminds me, I didn't really complete the thought there from earlier. So our main way of or the first layer of access control within the BDAO Discord is that 2-factor authentication with your individual account. So I mentioned and demonstrated the sign in with Ethereum option, and that really is the only reason that I've kind of kept it limited to sign in with Ethereum as opposed to email login and verification. Is sign in with Ethereum, I honestly view as better than two-factor authentication, because if your sign in with Ethereum is compromised, that means your private keys on your Ethereum wallet were compromised, and that's just that's game over at that point if that's happened. So having sign in with Ethereum as the only sign-in option, from a security perspective, at that point, as long as that user doesn't have their private keys compromised, that's the security strength on that side. For access control on a room basis, so I think my stream is still going. Yes. On a room basis, and this is kind of a bit of an annoying thing, is even though Watercooler chat is in general, is in miscellaneous, is in Bankless DAO, unfortunately, that structure isn't actually modeled in the database. So these are all just stored in single lists as far as I can tell. And what this really means in simpler terms is that setting a rule here for Bankless DAO doesn't make it cascade further into welcome, into miscellaneous, and so on down the line. Each space and each room needs to have their permissions set individually. So that would need to be automated. That I'd look into building a bot for. But what abilities a bot would have to manage permissions? Oh, I'm signed into the wrong account. Darn it. Settings. Okay, so it's grayed out because I'm on my non-admin account, but this is everything that is available to an admin for access controls. Matrix uses the term power level to measure permissions within each room and space. And it's on a scale of 0 to 100. And then it kind of implies that the default is 0, moderator is 20, moderator is 50, admin is 100. That's not set in stone. You can set the default to something other than 0. You can set like 21, 22. I don't think you can do decimals, but that would be way too fine-grained control. So for something like the difference between the welcome channel and one of the guilds or the projects where you need to have a guest pass or L1, what I had tested on a different server was to set the default role to 0. Keep that as 0, but have send messages at 1 or something, or 2 or 5 or whatever the arbitrary number is. And then that way anybody who by default joins and makes a brand new account, they've not gone through any verification of bank tokens or anything like that. They just have their role as 0, but in order to send messages, they need to have a 1. So this would be the first task if Matrix was adopted by Bankless as something to pursue, is to design a bot that could automate this process, because doing this manually is not at all feasible, wouldn't scale at all. It is and because we have sign-in with Ethereum already kind of integrated, it wouldn't be easy, but it would. The infrastructure is there to already confirm and sign messages for a user's wallet address. So the idea would be to sign a message, yes, I am this person with this wallet address. The bot queries, does this person have the bank token or Uniswap LP token, yada yada. If yes, raise their role to 1 or whatever number we set, and then they have the send message permission for that room. So it wouldn't be an easy hobby project, I think, designing a different bot to do that permission. But that is how it would be done. You would have other things like invite users, remove users would be moderators. And actually, this would be another thing as well, is we'd be able to assign individual permissions on a guild and project basis. So rather than having to come back to the Discord admins for everything, for a new channel permission or to make a new channel, we could assign those individually to the individual project moderators, the guild moderators. And actually, even if they wanted to create something outside of Bankless DAO here, me as a regular user can create my own space, public or private, and then invite people dynamically to that as well. It wouldn't be part of the DAO space. It would be a new space down here. But that's an effect of this being an entire Discord, like an open source Discord service, not just a Discord server. So it's not just recreating one of the servers. It's like having a whole new open source Discord platform that we can access.
Okay, so basically
sorry,
the token thing, it needs to be worked out so the same access control that L1s, L2s have, that someone needs to rate a bot. Is there, so this Matrix server right now, are you the only one on the server?
I was up until about a half an hour ago. And then just for this demo, I opened up logins just briefly, and then I'll close it again after the demo.
Okay.
Who was it? I think Joe Dad joined. Above Average Joe joined a few days ago. There might have been a few others that have hopped in. So for the testing and everything, short answer is yes. I am the only one in here like 99% of the time.
Okay. From a security perspective, I'm glad Bog's on the call to hear. He had mentioned as well, like we want to make sure InfoSec has full permission to the server, and we want to make sure all the access is migrated somehow prior to opening it up to users, I guess. Did you want to say anything, Bog, as well?
Yeah. To be clear, we're not looking to come in and like manage server permissions day to day, but more so just keep the moderation privileges that we have in Discord parallel in your Matrix server, since they're going to be connected. So it'll be very light touch. Like we'll point out security mistakes that we see needing fixing, make sure that security controls are not removed once they're in place, and of course, we'll assist with moderation when spammers eventually find their way in there.
Yeah, and it's the spam problem is something that I've been thinking ever since chatting with you guys in the InfoSec meeting 2 weeks ago. Because limiting it from my end, like having the sign in with Ethereum as at least the initial barrier to entry, and like in theory, an attacker could write a MetaMask bot that could do that and have like a several hundred wallets just be spun up and then sign the login messages. Someone could do that. It's a little bit more heavy lifting than just having like an email verification bot, but I'm sure somebody will do it. It's kind of at the stage, like Matrix is not well known enough to really be the target of spammers and large amounts of phishing attacks. For instance, the Tornado Cash group, after their Discord was taken down, they actually I'll just demo this right now. So from my Element sign-in page, if I go to, instead of my home server, tornadocash.community, they literally have no checks here. You just punch in a username, password, sign in, boom, you get in. There's no, they've implemented no CAPTCHA system, nothing. They didn't do the CAPTCHA because they didn't want to link it to a Google API. But so I've been in their Tornado Cash or Matrix server off and on, and I've not seen really any spam. I think I've seen one imposter of an admin, but because it's just such a low traffic and not a really it's the same principle as why Mac didn't really have viruses for the longest time, and same with Linux. Is just when somebody wants to attack something, they want to go for something that has a lot of users, and Matrix just isn't there right now. But it is definitely something to keep in mind. Like, how would we deal with it if there was like thousands of new spam bots in there? So from my end, having the sign in with Ethereum is the way I'd protect my home server. The other problem comes into play in if someone on the Tornado Cash home server wanted to join the BDAO space on this home server, because they've got no security checks. Somebody could just much easier create dozens of accounts, join our space, and then flood with messages without ever needing to go through a signing challenge or a CAPTCHA challenge. And so limiting other home servers as well is something that I was trying to get a straight answer in the Matrix dev channels to see if there was an easy way to blacklist problematic home servers. And unfortunately, the one answer I got is the one home server that is really, really prone to spam is the official Matrix home server, which is a little unfortunate. I feel like I kind of went on a bit of a tangent there. Was there any other concerns about spam that I didn't quite touch on properly there?
No, I think that's good. We definitely do want to keep an eye on systems still, obviously, because they're tied to the Discord, which is kind of the hub of the DAO.
Mhm.
But this sounds like a great first step in making sure that you keep unwanted things off the system.
Yeah. One comment I'll add is have you worked with Brian on this at all?
Not yet, no. I did see he popped in here and was around for maybe up until about 10 minutes ago. So that was going to be my next step, because thank you for prompting me, because I didn't see your message from last week.
What I actually messaged him, pinged him to make sure if he's interested to join this meeting too, because Brian's actually like a super smart guy. He's he's very knowledgeable on server setup and Discord and everything set up on our like Bankless DAO, and the Matrix server. If Bankless does anything, does go and set up per pay monthly to set this up, it would, the way I would see it, it would likely fall under operations. So it'd be good to make sure is involved from ground up, and he has a lot of wealth of knowledge as well. And and you guys work together on configuring this, and then coming to like addressing securities, InfoSec's problem. So everything is thought of, and we covering all the perspectives, and is that might make things make sure we don't miss any. If you want to capture as many people who are involved with this stuff, we want to capture all the perspectives and all the experience when setting, because seems like a huge project for one person, to be honest. It'd be really, I think, valuable to have Brian working on this with you, and then you guys work together, and then we come to security for our input, and then just my feedback.
Oh, great feedback, and I'm looking forward to messaging him next here. One quick note, I do see your prompt there, Ernest, about wrapping up here. I didn't think that I had talked quite that long, but I am aware of time. Yes, Dyson, I'll right after this demo, this was the next step was to kind of get my thoughts further in order, take any feedback and reflect on this demo some more, and then put together the next steps. And that would definitely involve Brian at that point for sure. Working up to the point of this demo was to kind of get to the point where I had been able to do some type of video recording to show other people that maybe missed the demo, because when I first started talking about this in the Dev Guild meeting, it's a lot to kind of just verbally share. So I wanted to at least go through some type of visual demonstration, have the recording to show people, take in some feedback, questions and concerns, and then really, I wouldn't even say that I've even started to propose this as a project. Somebody pointed out, I think it was Salman, noticed that I wasn't aware that you guys had added a point in your season 6 budget for this, and I was kind of caught off guard. So I'm really only, after this demo, now kind of entering the brain space of really kind of taking this to the next step as an honest proposal after gauging interest from everybody. And aside from Brian as well, I think there was another person, the Dev Guild Warrior, was showing some interest. So yeah, this would be way quite a handful to manage on my own. So I'm definitely keen on working with anybody that's interested.
Yeah, but great overall. Like from what I see, I have used Matrix, and this is a good platform, and it's always good to have backup to the work, and keep us updated.
Awesome, will do. Okay, thanks everyone, and I saw your note there, Bog Drakenov, as well. I'll be sending you a DM as well.
Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Austin.
Sorry, I was late.
Awesome demo.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's really cool. I really like, it's obviously not ready to replace Discord.
That was the longest presentation I've given since like college, I think.
No, it was awesome. Really appreciative. Like, it's obviously not ready to replace Discord, but like Tornado Cash wasn't looking for a replacement till they lost their Discord, right? And one of the biggest problems in Discord is that there's so many empty Discords, right? So many Discords are mostly empty most of the time, and it's very hard to communicate between Discords, and I see these kind of spaces as, maybe they won't be able to replace the Discords, but you might start seeing the infrastructure for being able to integrate communities across Discords. And of course, there's over 8 different Bankless DAO Discords. It's not just one Discord. And there's not an easy way to, kind of from a meta governance or, from a meta point of view, kind of, be a part of all 8 of those Discords. There could potentially be one space, right, with unlimited channels. Maybe it doesn't need that many channels, but even if you were able to bring like the main community channels from 8 different Discords together, so that people could, be aware of when, another Discord is doing things that synergistically work with what another Discord is doing, could be a huge game changer in, the way DAOs and other kind of communities, integrate in the future. And that with that the open source framework, right, is what going to allow these communities to develop this type of communication. Discord will have their idea of how to do that, but I think the actual solution will come from, an open source kind of collaborative, different model.
Yeah, it is a bit unfortunate that Discord hasn't open sourced their platform, but I definitely understand why they wouldn't. Even as much as they have with the bot infrastructure is pretty helpful as is.
Yeah, they got their niche, right? They're not Web3. They're definitely pushing, certain technologies and how people communicate, but it's still designed with the principle of segregating everything, segregating people, breaking things down into individual, narrower and narrower channels with focus. When you start talking, so like federations too, in cooperatives, when you get a bunch of cooperatives with kind of an aligned mission, they tend to create like a federation of cooperatives. And we haven't really seen anything like that happen in the DAO space, but not gonna take, it'll happen.
Yeah, that they do try to use that word a little bit in their marketing. Like I was saying that Matrix doesn't use Web3, crypto, or even I think the only other one that they use is decentralization in their marketing terms. But the one that they do use is a federated service. Yeah, I try not to, because for some reason, whenever I've heard that word to describe other platforms like Mastodon, it's not it's more intuitive than just calling it a decentralized service, and calling it a federated one does actually imply more information. But I don't know why. I'm just adverse to calling it a federated service. I don't know why. I think it just doesn't hit my ear correctly, but I should use it some more.
Well, I mean, it's an older kind of governance organizational term, and right, like with data structures, like servers, right? It's all slave master, right? So there's this terminology in tech, hierarchies and explaining structures that are borrowed from human systems. Some of it makes sense, some of it of course makes sense to tech folks, and some of it makes sense to other folks, but yeah, thanks so much for doing this and bringing a demo, the first demo pretty much from a member, so that's awesome. Like, ran by the member.
Well, thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for your patience with me getting it together and organized. I don't feel like I really aced the organizational part of it and getting everything ready to go, but I'm happy that it felt like it went smoothly. So thanks for your patience in the last month while I was really slow about filling everything out.
No, it was perfect. Yeah, everything went fine. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Will you need anything from me regarding the follow-ups for like tags, description for the video, or anything like that, or is that all